Hey, yeah, this is part 2 of a 2-part unboxing video for the HEXBUG VEX Robotics Offroad truck. I talked about it, uploaded the video yesterday, and started opening the bags. And now I'll just show you some of the different parts that are kind of new or interesting. There are a few thin sheet decorative parts and a sheet of stickers. I'm not going to be putting stickers on my parts, but you can put stickers on these curved body panels. The VEX logo would go there. You can see I've got a bunch of the body panels out here. If you look at the set, they're used throughout the shaping of the front of the truck, as well as the side of the truck. The fenders, the roof, the top of the roof line here has curved panels. Of course, all of the front. The bumper has some curved panels. These are an interesting one there. The same piece as this one right here. We'll look at some of these new parts. So the thin sheets are nice. These two go at the back. This one is the roof. This particular panel comes in with the left and a right. There's only one of each in white. They form the front of the hood on the corners. I think they actually go like, I guess they go like that. Yeah. Or like that. I think that's how they go. Those are cool. And there's a few other slopes, similar slopes. This one is basically half width of this piece here, so a 2 by 3. As you can see here, 2 wide by 3 long. This one is just half that width. And there's a bunch of these in white and black and green. And then there's a larger size, which is again half the width of this piece. So this one here is also 2 wide, but it's 4 long instead of 3 long. And of course it's taller. You can see how they line up side by side. Like that. But yeah, this one's half that width. Like so. Again, there's several of these. Not as many as this size, but in white and black. And this piece as well. There are a few of these 3x plates, I would call them, instead of beams, but 3x is not normal. Mostly it's 2, 4, and 8, and 12. 2, 4, 6, and 12. But these are 3x, 3x4, 3x6, 3x8. A couple of each, I think 2 to 4 of each of these, I think. Those are nice. These are these steep slopes that I use 2 of them with the front bumper with the flat side facing up. 2 of them just outside or just behind the hood, one on each side. Can't hold on to them. There's some almost like plates with pinholes in them. Here's a 1 by 2, so that size. And then a 1 by 4. So these, you can fit 2 of these. There's some that are transparent. There's also this 1x1, like so. There's some transparent ones and also some white ones, and I think some black ones that are square like this with just a single pinhole. Decorative purposes basically. And then there's some of these in black as well, I think. This piece was in some sets from last year. It's basically just a gear holder. There was like a zip toy that would shoot a helicopter into the air, a spinning disc into the air. You would basically pull a zip like that. This is the rack piece that's used to steer the front end, and there's a couple of these sliders used to hold it. 2 of them at the front, and then at the back there's 2 that are used to hold these little pieces, which again I'm not sure purpose-wise what they are terribly useful for. It does give you some, ability to slide something back and forth with potentially a pin at the end to stop it from moving beyond a certain amount. In this particular set, these are attached to the battery box, and the battery box just kind of slides in, and then there's something that at the front that keeps it from sliding further forward, and then something at the back that keeps it from sliding out. Those are cool. This is an interesting curved panel in black. It's not a left or right piece. It's it's mirrored. It's the same shape on both sides, so there's not a left and a right. But there's, I think, 4. I don't remember, 6 maybe of this piece in this set. It's kind of cool looking. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you might use it for other than decorative purposes, but it looks neat. And then there's a left and right of this panel, which I think could be used for like a fender if you wanted to, or in conjunction with perhaps some of these others, some of these other slopes, to form some sort of interesting shape. I think they're used on the side. Those are cool. There's these tiles, which are similar to something like this. It's 1x3 instead of 1x4, and then it has a slope at the front, so you can use it to create. You can stack them together and create a slope similar to this, like that. So you could use those in conjunction with this slope piece, which was introduced, I think, last year. For sure, it was in the in one of the BattleBot sets. The Tombstone used this piece. These come with a left and a right, like so. This is an interesting little decorative piece. This is the first time I've seen this piece used outside of the old HEXBUG Scarab set, which used this piece. I've seen this piece used in one of the ball contraptions that was at VEX Worlds a few years ago, as part of a stepping motion, but I don't know that I've seen it in any of the sets they've produced other than the Scarab and now this set. And it's used just decoratively. You can see it used in the front bumper right here. There are 3 of them like that. This piece has been available since last year, I think. In this case, it's just used as part of, I think, the rear wheel construction on the inside to help hold the axle onto the tire. This is the tire, which is hollow air filled, and the hub in lime green. Just have to work it around to get the tire into the grooves, like so. But yeah, I think the rear wheels have this piece inside, and then the axle goes through both here and the axle hole on this piece. You can use this for joining two axles together. I've done that before. You can use it as like just a point spot where something rests on the ground but doesn't have a whole lot of friction, I guess. Maybe combined with this piece or something. This is a new piece that's used in conjunction with the tie rod. It fits snugly, but able to rotate inside each end of the tie rod, and then you can stick a pin through it, so that lets you connect it to other things. So the tie rod connects to this piece, for instance, with a pin or a standoff holding them together like that. And there's several of these little partial spheres, basically, with a pinhole down the middle. And the tie rods, there's 4, I think, of the tie rods for the front end. It's kind of cool. And I'm not sure, outside of the use in this set, what sort of things you would do with it. It does make for a flexible connection, with this piece there. Also relatively new is this piece, which is used for like wiring, holding wires in place. So you could run one of these motor wires along a beam and then attach this over the top of it with 2 pins to hold it in place. These are the new bevel gears, which came out, I think, last year. Have fewer teeth. The teeth are thicker, so they're more sturdy, less likely to strip. And in this set, the bevel gears are used with the universal joint. You have 3 bevel gears that fit inside this differential gear. And so with 3 of these in the differential gear, you have independent. Each axle can rotate independently or be driven together. These are interesting new pieces. You've got a pin connection at the end, and then the 2 pieces fit together with pin connection holding them together in the middle. And then these teeth mesh together at various angles. They don't mesh at 0, 90, 180, or 270, so those common angles aren't available for use with these. But I think VEX probably felt you could do 180. You can do 180 degrees with something like a universal joint, or just as basically just joining 2 pins together with a piece that they have pieces that could be used for that purpose already. But it might be nice if you could mesh them together at 90 degrees. I know Lego has some connector pieces that are various fixed angles, and they include 90 degrees as one of the options. But this lets you create multiple angle connections for whatever purpose you need them for without having to have a custom piece for each different angle. But it's kind of cool. And of course, the universal joint's been available for a long time. in this case, it's not used for any kind of driving. You know, it doesn't have a purpose in terms of rotational force at different angles. It's just purely decorative. You can see it gets used right here, and then basically a 90-degree angle right there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a piece that I was talking about that could be used to connect two separate pins together at 180 degrees, so in a straight line. And of course, those have been available for a long time. And then these are some of the electronics. This is just one of the 3 motors. These are 9-volt motors. Like I said, they look a lot like the original HEXBUG motors, but they run on 9 volts, and the connector style is different. You can power a motor directly by connecting it to the battery box, but then of course it would just turn and it would never stop. There's actually a switch that goes with this type of electronics. The switch is a reverse polarity switch. It comes with the Gatling rapid fire dart launcher set that I reviewed the other day, and so the switch could be used and is used in that particular set in between the battery box and the motor, so that you can have it in the off position or forward or reverse with the direct power from the motor. This particular set doesn't directly power the motors, but it uses this VEX pilot brain, and the motors connect to these ports here as outputs, and then the battery box connects to this orange connector here as the power input, and you turn it on. It uses Bluetooth Low Energy 4.0. This smartphone app talks to it. I think they're going to release an SDK and document the protocol so that custom apps could be written to work with the VEX pilot brain. We'll see where that goes. It's not available for sure at this point, but the brain is running in this case, a program specific to the off-road truck, and in this particular case, the second connector is actually this angle measuring sensor, and it connects to the second port. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little point at the top of that circle that points straight to the top. And so it doesn't spin freely, but you can put an axle through there, and then it can rotate left in the negative direction or right in the positive direction. And then that information, the reading from the sensor, is used by the program that runs on the brain to control the steering motor, and the steering motor actually plugs into the third port there, and then the two are connected together like so, with the axle running from the motor through this device and then to a gear which turns the it drives the rack left and right. And so that feedback from this sensor is critically important to the program that runs on this brain, so that it can control how much power to send to the motor based on the commands that are sent to it over Bluetooth. When you want to steer left, when you want to steer right, and then when you let go of the steering, it has to center the motor again. So I think they may have plans for other sensors. Like I said, there's the switch. I don't know if the switch would ever be used with the pilot, but in any case, the battery box has 2 doors on it. You put 3 AA cells on one side, and negative you can see on the cover how to put the batteries in, but the negative side of the battery always goes towards the spring, and then the other side the other 3 batteries. So a total of 6 AA batteries. These doors are not screwed on, but they're very tightly latched, so they're a little hard to pry off. But you don't have to use a screwdriver or anything like that. So that's the electronics. When you first pair your phone and the app to this, it will actually need to download a firmware update. At least in my experience, that's what happened. At some point, they may ship newer versions of the brain which have the update already installed. That may change over time, but in this first version of the hardware, the program running on your smartphone or your tablet will actually download an update to the brain over Bluetooth. But these are all the parts. These last couple are the new longer standoffs, which I think were introduced last year. And this little piece here is kind of, I think it's been available for maybe a couple years, but it's used at the front of the model to hold the suspension onto the chassis. There's a couple of those. But overall, I think it's a really cool set. Let me just show you. I actually have partially built one. I've got actually 2 copies of this set. I actually have taken out the steering motor, which I'll be putting that back in place later today. But you can see kind of how this works. You've got the rear suspension. It's pivoted right here. 3 of the shock absorbers that connect to the bottom. You've got the differential gear in the middle, driven by 2 motors. These 2 motors are sharing a single axle, and so they both power this gear which drives the differential. You can see how those new bevel gears mesh together, and you can see also in here, let me put that back in there. You've got some axle stops in this area to kind of keep that axle from pulling in and out, which is, I had forgotten about those, but if you look inside there, I don't know if you can see it, but inside that hub is the red piece that looks like this. Anyway, and then the front suspension, you can see how each tire is on its own shock absorber and can push up and down like that. So that's kind of cool. I like it. It's not terribly difficult to build, but as I mentioned in the first half, you should definitely download the PDF with updated instructions, which help out in a few places where the construction is a little tricky. But I guess I could. There's not much else to show you, I guess, but yeah, this one has batteries in it. It just powers on with the push, and then in the application it has an icon which says tap it twice to pair. So you tap the button twice, and then that puts it into pairing mode. And the app on the phone or on your tablet should search for any Bluetooth low energy devices that have the right ID that are in pairing mode, and it should connect. Once it's paired once, you don't have to do the double tap to put it into pairing mode again. But and then once it's actually connected to the app, this will start blinking rapidly, like twice that fast. And then the whole time that the app is running on the phone and communicating with the brain, that LED will be blinking green rapidly the whole time. So there you have it. This is the new VEX Robotics HEXBUG VEX Robotics Offroad truck. Retails for $69.99 and comes with over 820 pieces. And I think kids will have a lot of fun driving it around, playing with it, and hopefully the electronics will have some additional use when they open up Document and SDK, that we'll be able to do some cool custom apps for the brain as well. But that's it. Thank you for watching.